So I'm Betsy Lavoie. I'm the CEO and President of the Fountain Hills Chamber of Commerce. That's a great answer, Dory.
Tara Lamar, Fountain Hills Chamber. I'm here working with Betsy on this program.
So we have recruited Tara to be a part of the staff team for this program. So she's training all year this year, and then you'll see more of Tara leading it in next year. So thank you all for being here. We're super excited. I especially love the diversity of business here. And thank you for the realtors who are here too, because we've had a lot of students who have shared that they're interested in real estate, and we've had trouble getting real estate firms to participate. So we hope that you're inspired and you'd like to participate. And also thank you for sharing that you had a great time hosting interns. We did not have interns the first year that the program launched. Last year we had 3 interns and then adopted another 3 interns. So we ended up having 6 interns last year. It is wonderful. I can't say enough about it, even from the business side. So we're going to go through some of the logistics because today is an informational meeting. It does not require you to be a host. We're not tripping you into the program. And we hope that you are inspired to want to be a part of the program, and then I'll show you the registration process and what that looks like as we move forward. Before we dive into the packet that we've provided, I wanted to share with you where you can find this information online. If you don't have your packet, I want you to know where to find it. So if you're at FHChamber.com or if you're on the Visit Fountain Hills app, to get to FHChamber.com, I'll show you exactly where it is. First of all, on the Visit Fountain Hills app, every single one of these categories will lead to our website. You just have to find our logo. So if you go to any one of the categories and you go to our logo, it'll lead you to our website. Okay, so now we're on FHChamber.com, and if you're on FHChamber.com, you're going to go down to Member Services, and then you're going to go to Workforce Intern Program. That's what WIP stands for, Workforce Intern Program. And you'll see all the information digitally here. If you are inspired to be a participant and you want to be a host, then you register here. Okay, so that's where you find it on the website. Any questions about this before we move forward? Okay, great. So now we're going to go through your business guide to hosting an intern together. And you may or may not know that the Fountain Hills Unified School District, all seniors are required to do one of 4 things to graduate from high school. And one of those is an unpaid internship in partnership with the Fountain Hills Chamber of Commerce. So this is a sheet directly from the school. These are their requirements. And so we're just going to focus on the one that we are partnered with, which is the unpaid internship. And with the unpaid internship, it is 40 hours that the school requires that they work with a local chamber of commerce, business, or nonprofit. The employability course that they take through the school counts towards those 40 hours. So you as a business will get around 37 to 38 hours of those 40 hours. We hope that the internship is an area of interest to the student. Sometimes it's not necessarily, and it's just a requirement. Our goal as the Chamber of Commerce is a student says, I would love to be a veterinarian, and we're able to partner that student with a vet hospital or a veterinarian here in town. If we don't have a veterinarian who's willing to participate, though, we cannot accommodate that, and then we might have to put them somewhere else, and it might not be an area of interest. And then the student has to do it because it's one of their requirements and it's not as enjoyable for them. So when we ask you to help us, we might ask you to help us gain some other types of companies, and it's for the student's benefit. We're just truly trying to match all of the students' needs. So that might be an ask coming up before the intern fair.
And sometimes they might not know that they are more interested in your business than they thought.
Right.
I don't think Kyle thought he was going to end up at Step Fitness.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well,
so, there's opportunity for you to show them what they can actually gain from different facets of your business too.
Absolutely. They can also find out what they don't want to do. Because they could think, well, I want to be in hospitality, and then we match them up with, say, a Darrow, one of the most successful resorts here in town, right? And then they decide, I do not want to be in hospitality. That could happen too. And that also saves the family time, energy, effort, money, because we've helped them learn what they don't want to do. And so that's important too. And then all of their hours must be completed by February 18th. I will share with you that this is the guidelines that the school has set, and there has been some flexibility in that as well. So they have seniors who are able to graduate early. Those early graduators finish by Valentine's Day. And so all of this coursework, all of this intern work would have to be done, obviously, for those who are graduating early. There are some students who are not graduating until the end of the year, end of May, and so the school allowed them more time if they needed more time. We also recommend that the business really think about the fact that 40 hours over months is not very much. It's a couple hours a week. So it's not a huge time investment for you to give back to the community in this way. So I love it. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit, but I just want to get down to the nitty-gritty. Okay. Don't worry, again, we're not tripping you into making you be an intern host. But if you've decided to host an intern, I'm going to share with you a couple of things that we are seeking. So businesses and especially parents have asked, is this free labor? Because it is an unpaid internship. So technically, yes, but no, it is not free labor. When I share with you that transparently, it's a lot of work to host an intern. If you do it well and you do it right. And so what that looks like for me, because I was the one who hosted our interns personally, and I wanted to personally mentor them. That's a lot of work to personally mentor. Come on in, welcome. To personally mentor students and hopefully inspire them, especially students who are 17, 18 and just can't wait to be done. This is just a requirement and they just can't wait to be done. And here I am trying to inspire. Come on, I know you want to do this, right? And so I found it to be very worthy work. But if your student intern is with you because they want to learn about the real estate business or owning a real estate firm, brokerage, and you have them every day sweeping the lobby and doing janitorial work, that's not appropriate, right? That's what I would consider free labor. If they seek to own a janitorial company and you're having them do janitorial work, that's appropriate. So see what I mean? You just want to make sure. Now, granted, there are times all of us as staff, we're doing janitorial work. You might have that, and any member of your staff might have to take out the garbage, might have to do different things. That's appropriate part of being a part of the team, right? But just make sure it's not something that they're doing every day, every time they're with you, so that we don't hear back from the student and the school that they're not having an enriching experience, because we want them to have an enriching experience. So the school utilizes something called a portrait of a graduate, and the intern program is really aligned with setting these students up for success after they graduate. Whether they want to go to college or go right into a trade or into the workforce, the idea is they can leave their high school experience ready to engage in the world. And the intern program really helps with that, with real world work experience. So I'm going to have you read that on your own. We're not going to go through it, but I do want to share with you what the interns have told us. So we're going to go back to the intern parents in your luncheon in just a second, and we're going to go to the next page that says the top concerns of interns. So I think this is really great for you to hear as the business owner or nonprofit leader. So they want real work. They want to actually learn what it is that you do. They want the ins and outs, and they want real work. They don't necessarily want busy work unless you share with them why that busy work is crucial to your customer management. So yes, I need you to fill out, handwrite all the addresses and names for all these thank you cards, and that might feel like busy work, but I'll share with you, this is what sets us apart with that special touch, and you're teaching them and you're training them why that's important with the busy work. Does that make sense? Do what you say and say what you do. So you'll want to be honest with your interns and not just make it, rainbows and unicorns and make it all fluffy. If you have a upset client who is on the phone, maybe in property management, Dawn, right? Maybe you have somebody who's upset. You don't have to shield them from that, right? Let them hear it and then use that as a learning opportunity once you get off the phone. And then you could see kind of where that extra time comes in, where it takes a little bit more time in your day. But again, they're also giving back to you and supporting you. Debbie Romano had asked if you sign up for the intern program and you're a part of the intern fair, which we'll talk about in just a moment, can we use them right away for Fountain Hills Day? Can we teach them and use them as part of our staff for Fountain Hills Day? Yes, I think that's fantastic. So even if that's all you do is a couple of event-driven items, but they are your support team at those events, that's fantastic. You can teach them the whole 5 hours you're there. They can learn from you and how to interact with people and engage with people, especially this generation. They need more training on how to look somebody in the eye, shake their hand, welcome them, how to network. That's vital training in a portrait of a graduate to really help them move on. So I'm glad that you brought that up, and I think that's fantastic. They like feedback. So if they're not doing a good job or they're not doing it right, they want to learn. Even if they're doing it as a requirement, they want to know that their time that they spent on that required training for the intern program was a valuable use of their time. They really do. And this is what they've told us from surveys. So take that how you want for your company. And then we want to be included too. So if you're doing a staff meeting and it's at a time that your intern can attend, include them. Even if you don't have a task for them to do or something for them to do, so that during their 40-hour time, they feel like they're a part of your team intermittently. If you do name badges at your place of work, get them a name badge that says intern. If you're able to, make them feel like they're a part of it. Even if it's a sticky one that you print, right? Make them feel a part of it. And then the biggest part is just explaining and teaching and educating as you go. That's where it's different. It's not, if you just hired someone, these are minimum wage type opportunities, right? So if you just hired somebody for a minimum wage, you wouldn't necessarily feel like you need to teach them every life lesson as a part of your industry. But we're hoping that you might want to do that as the host of an intern. So what questions do we have so far? Yes?
We're allowed to pay them.
You are not allowed to pay them. Yes, thank you for asking that. You are not allowed to pay them. And you're not even allowed to give them a gift. Because they will then share that with their other students, their friends, and they'll be like, well, I didn't get a gift from the chamber. Rude. The Daniels gave me $100. Why didn't I get $100? We would hear that. So no gifts, no payment. And they don't, therefore, none of them expect any. Okay? So, thank you for asking that. And it's hard, especially when you get some of the kids that really work hard for you. That's hard to do.
But you could buy them like Dutch Bros.
Yes, you could.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Like take them for a drink.
Sure, absolutely. Yes. So let's talk about the intern fair and the senior celebration luncheon. I'm sorry, Tara, I've got so the last 2 years, we started out with the intern fair. So it's the page before the Give Us Real Work page. So we held an intern fair, and that's the opportunity for all of the seniors to get to meet all of the businesses who are providing an internship. And so it is a requirement to be a part of the intern fair. It is a 2-hour program, 12:30 to 2. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
12:30 to 2, hour and a half program. By the time you set up, you're going to be 2 hours because you'll want to be set up by noon. The Chamber of Commerce is providing a luncheon for all of you as hosts, if you decide to host, and all of the seniors. So it starts with a boxed or grab bag luncheon, just to break the ice a little bit, and then we'll talk about what your booth looks like. But then the students will go around to each of the booths to learn about your intern opportunity. And so right now you might be thinking, I don't know what my intern opportunity is yet. We're going to go through that too. I'm going to give you a couple of ideas. It is August 26th. It is in the gym at the high school. We share with you exactly what to bring. If you have branded tablecloth, you're going to want to bring the tablecloth. The school provides the tables and chairs. If you have snacks, that attracts the students. So I will share with you, if you have chocolate, if you have lollipops, if you have cookies, they will come see you. They are nervous. They are nervous to approach your booth. So anything that you could, that lure a kid with candy, it sounds terrible. Anything that you could lure them to your table, that is great, because then once they meet you and you start talking about your opportunity, I know it sounds terrible, once you start talking about your opportunity, then they lighten up a little bit, and then they really get to know. And then they have a survey they have to fill out for the school so that they can narrow down who they want to work with. And then they make sure that they connect with one. You are allowed, this is new as of last year, you are allowed to get the student information and contact them directly. So if you have a student that comes to your booth at the intern fair, they say, I want to do real estate, I'm ready to intern, write down your name and phone number, I'll give you a call and we'll set it up. You're allowed to do that communication right away. We do require 2 deep communication. 2 deep communication means you and someone from your staff, or you and Tara or I and the student. So it's never just you. So if there's an email communication, you will CC someone from your staff, or you'll CC WIP, W-I-P, at FH Chamber. WIP at FH Chamber goes directly to Tara and I. We will not be a part of your conversations. It's just there for safety measures to make sure that there's no communication that is inappropriate directly from a business or a nonprofit directly to a student. So 2 deep communication is required.
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa. Vice versa, exactly. And so texting was our mode always. And so what I did is I always included Kristen, who was doing the WIP with me as the staff person last year, and I included all interns every time. So I had 6 interns, and so our text thread was all 8 of us every time. And I even said this may or may not apply to you, but this is what we have going on. We're doing a wine walk. We need 2 hours of service for the wine walk. You will learn X, Y, and Z. Who's in? Kind of thing. And so that's the type of communication that we did was text. So you could do text, you can do email. You can also do a regular phone call. However, most kids will not pick up the phone. You'll leave a message. They may or may not call you back. I would not recommend calling it, quite frankly. But if you do a phone call, then just make sure there's someone else either in the room and you're on speakerphone, or the old-fashioned 3-way dial conference call. You're always going to need that 2 deep communication. Okay? And then pens, the student list, the student contact form. We did tiny little clipboards, and we had every single student fill out a form at our booth. You're not required to do that. You could just do that if you want to. But as the chamber, as the our host of all of you, we wanted to gather all of that information in case you said, well, I had a kid who filled out, his name was Trevor something. I can't read anything. We can be back up to you. So we are here as the Chamber of Commerce for your support. The Fountain Hills Unified School District is there for the student support. So if you have a question about student behavior, not showing up on time, not dressing appropriately, and you've already communicated with your intern those concerns and it's still not being fixed, we have not seen this as a problem yet, just so you know, but it's still not being fixed, then you would tell us, we would tell the school would talk to the student. I know that seems a little bit like a lot of people to go through to get to the source, but that's the way we need to keep it, so that the school is always in charge of the kids, we are always in charge of the businesses and nonprofits. So any questions about that at all? Okay. One of the main things that you'll want to have for the intern fair and success luncheon is a 1-sheeter that explains what your internship opportunity is. I brought some examples for you. This is even too many words. You really just want something very basic for a flyer. So the Chamber of Commerce is offering an opportunity in the Visitor Center. So if you want to learn more about tourism and Visitor Center experience, that's one opportunity. And then if you are interested in being your own business owner and you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to know how to create a business plan and how to do a budget for a business and how to appropriately market for a business, that's another intern opportunity. This is just us as Chamber. You don't have to offer more than one opportunity, okay? But we offered multiple. Are you a creative person and you want to know more about the Arts Festival and you want to learn about that process? That's one opportunity. And then we had one for the parade specifically. So those are what we offered. Again, too many words. What I just said is probably all that needs to be on the flyer, right? Just pictures. I'm not trying to dumb down. The kids are very smart kids. I'm not trying to dumb it down. It's just that it's quick. There's a lot of kids going through, 100 kids going through about 25 to 30 booths. And so you're going to want something really quick. Hi, Mark. Welcome. And so any questions about your one-pager? So the one-pager for your intern opportunity. Any questions about the intern fair? What to expect? People have asked me, I'm not able to be at the intern fair. Can I still participate? It is a requirement. So even if you're not able, you've got to find someone. Mother's brother, sister, somebody sit at your booth for an hour and a half so that you have representation. I feel like that's wouldn't be fair to those of you who showed up if it was not across the board, that we were all there together. Okay, let's move on to the next sheet. They do want your time. They do want a mentor. Be prepared for those little extras. So I had one intern in particular who often texted me, well, can I just set a meeting with you? And I did multiple meetings with them. Worthy work. I found it to be worthy work. It turned into more of from an internship to being a mentor. And you might, that's not the purpose. The purpose is not for you to personally mentor any one senior intern, but it might turn into that. So I'm just warning you that might, if they really connect with you, that might happen. And that does take a little bit more of your time. Now, if you don't have that time available, you could be transparent. I would love to meet with you, Ellie. I don't have that kind of time right now, but could I set you up with one of our, associates so that you can learn more about XYZ? So you can not pawn them off, but you can pawn them off a little bit. I did share that Linda's grandson is featured on our WIP site. So Chris Town was an intern with the town of Fountain Hills through our program, and so I wanted to point that out. So just know that you might be a part of news articles. You might be on our website as a participant. So I'm always a promoter of business, right? That's always what at the core of everything that we do. So also think about the good PR that surrounds being an intern host for the next 6 months. You get that kind of PR that's surrounding being an intern host because we talk about it nonstop and the school talks about it nonstop. So there's also that edge to it. Again, I want you to go into it because you want to inspire youth, but that's a nice side benefit, is that it's good for your business. It really is. Okay, the next sheet is a fact sheet about working with the youth. We're not going to go through it, but I do want you to read it, okay? When you register, if you decide to register, you will say, I read all of the safety information and I will comply with it. But we broke it down, those 3 pages of legal jargon we broke down for you into just this breakdown. This breakdown says how many intern hours can my intern work. So if it's a school day, you cannot have them work more than 3 hours on that school day. That's a required state law. If it is a weekend, it has to be 8 hours or less. So like a fair weekend, for example, we're there 14, 15 hours a day for a fair weekend, and maybe the kid wants to get all their 40 hours in. So maybe the student was like, I'm in. I'll be here 15 hours with you. Illegal. Cannot do that, right? So just know what the state standards say. No earlier than 6 a.m. So when we're out at 4:30 or 5 a.m. for an event, I can't have them join me until after 6 a.m., right? So just keep that in mind. No later than 10 p.m. on a school day, 11 p.m. on a weekend. I can't imagine that you would need to break that rule, but just know that it exists.
Nothing happens out here after.
Yeah. I know nobody leaves the house after 8 p.m. in Fountain Hills.
Unless you're teaching them about bars or something.
Theater. That's true, Linda. That is true. No more than 18 hours in a school week. So this is kind of a neat thing to keep in mind because during the holiday breaks, they get a fall break, they get a holiday break, or Christmas break. that is a great time where they will say, it's not a school week, I've got 30 hours. What do you have? And you're like, I don't have 30 hours of work for you. But if you know that in advance, you might be able to create that for them. Yes?
Just a quick question on the hours.
Yes.
Have you run in the last 2 years into an issue where the kids are just going, well, I can't do it today, and then we're like, well, you're not going to be able to finish this
Right.
on time.
And that's on them, not you.
It's all on them.
Yes. And so, yes, we have had that happen. And the school has said, figure it out. And then they've gone and then taken time off work if they needed to, or they've figured it out so that they can get it done. Because the school's not been lenient on that. They have to hit their 40 hours. So, but again, that's not your fault. If you're offering those hours and they're not taking it, that's on them, not you. Because again, they have months. And so when our interns started with us, I said, okay, the amount of time that we have until now, until the program is over, that's approximately 1.5 hours a week. Just so you're aware, that's 1.5 hours a week. So how do you want to set that up? So my first mentoring day is I said, here's a weekly plan sheet. I need you to write down all your obligations, your school time, if you work, if you're in extracurriculars, write down everything you currently have going so I know the pockets of time you have available. And then I tried to make that work around their schedules. So if students are in fall sports, for example, and they do the intern program because they're required to do so because they're not in EVIT. If the students are in EVIT, that counts. So they don't need to do an intern program. But if they're in fall sports, for example, they might not want to start with you until after the fall sport is over. And so you might be ready for them to do Fountain Hills Day with you. You might be ready for them to jump right in October, and they're not ready to start until December. And then they're going to give you all their hours in the month of January. And so now you're looking at 10 hours a week versus an hour and a half a week. So that's just that's communication with your student intern and just really finding the right fit. And after that communication, if you're like, this is just not going to work, we're open 8 to 4, and you're never available 8 to 4, and we don't have any other outside opportunities besides that, and this is just not going to work, then you would communicate that with us, we'd communicate with the school, we'd place them somewhere else. So we would figure that out if we need to. But even for us, because those are our hours, 8 to 4, we have so many things that are on the weekends and the evenings, it was never an issue. I did also, during the holiday break, the students were really antsy for some work during that time. And a couple of mine were entrepreneurs, interns. They wanted to learn about owning a business. And so I found education online that I required them to watch on YouTube and then report back to me what they learned from it. I'm like, nope, that's an AI. You sent that through AI and you sent it back, try again. And they're like, oh, Betsy knows AI. Okay, let's try again, right? So that's okay. I didn't want my interns to phone it in. So my interns didn't get to phone it in.
So what they can do is say, okay, now you need to teach me the AI for my business. You need to use that to your benefit.
Right. And I even shared with them, like, as a business person, we use AI all the time, but the end result should not be where the reader knows that, right? They should know that. Hi. And so any questions about all of that? So along with the 2D communication, it's also 2D leadership. So I know that a lot of the solopreneurs struggle with this because just like we don't want you communicating with a student intern as one adult, we also don't want you ever working with a student intern as one adult. So that means there always has to be 3 people. Always has to be you plus 2, always. If you don't have a staff person to be that second person, it's okay. We had 6 interns. Coalition had 5 interns. That counts. Your you plus 2 could be 2 interns and you. And the kids love that because usually it's their buddy that they're doing the internship with, and it works out really great. And so we actually encourage that. We do a parent meeting and we do a student meeting. And at the student meeting, I share with the students, this is one time you can get with your friends and you could do it together because the business is not allowed to be with you one-on-one. So we encourage you to group together and do it together. And it's also more effective for you as a business owner, I feel like, because many hands make light work, right? So if you have multiple kids, a strength from one kid might be a weakness for another, but because you have them together, you're going to have a better result as a business owner or nonprofit leader. And no more than 40 hours during fall, Christmas, and spring break. Well, that 40 hours is their entire program. After they did that class with the school, it's only 37, 38 hours. So you don't really have to worry about that, but that's state law. So any questions about working with a youth? Yes, Elizabeth.
I do just want to say, because all these rules are laid out. So our interns chose to volunteer even after their time was up, and they're allowed to do that. Is that correct?
You're also allowed to hire them after their time is up. So that's fantastic. If you find someone and you're like, they are amazing, I want to keep them on, by all means, hire. Yep. Julian, great example, right? Went from intern to employee, right? To staffer. Yeah, that's awesome. And so, absolutely, that's totally fine. And then even though the program is over, they still need community service hours. And so even though they only need 24 and 4 years, the go-getters have hundreds of hours by the time they're done. And so they might continue to ask for more opportunities. And if you're truly a mentor, they're going to want to. Oh, yes. The workers' comp, harassment, insurance, and ADA. Okay, so our workers' comp, check with your insurance provider. Our workers' comp that we already have in place already covers volunteers and interns. So it's a phone call. Just find out if it already covers volunteers and interns. Ours did. So it's just a quick phone call. We didn't have to do a rider. We didn't have to do anything additional. It already covered that because we already have volunteers. Yes?
Do you need to see a certificate, or just make sure?
I do not. Yeah. You sign off that you've done all the right things. So we're believing you as business owners that you've done all the right things. ADA, I'm certain that your places of business are already ADA compliant, but you'll want to make sure if they are not. So for example, the Chamber of Commerce, when we became an official visitor center for the state of Arizona, we had some things that were not up to code for 2023. That was in 2023. And so we did have to make those changes. For an intern, you will not have to make structural changes. You might not be able to accept an intern if you don't have ADA access for your building, for example. I don't know, questions about that? Again, I don't think that's a concern, but we want to make sure that you're aware of it. Okay, the other thing is, I did say the students don't have to do the internship if they do EVIT. They do have an opportunity to do a research project instead of doing an internship. Why would any kid want to do this? So maybe someone who really is not a people person, who really doesn't want to be out there in the world, but again, the school is trying to encourage, especially even that student, to get out and to, blossom beyond just being in their cubicle at home, trying to do a research project. But they do have that opportunity. So it's important for you to be in the know. And then in the very rare cases where the student is financially supporting the family or is crucial to the financial support of the family, their job can count. So a lot of kids have jobs, but it's because they're driving a Beamer, not because they have to have a job, right? So their job doesn't take precedence unless it's financially needed for their family. None of that is up to us. That is all up to the school and a case-by-case basis. But I just want you to be aware of what those other reasons were that they were not doing an internship. Okay, so if you decide that you want to host an intern, you'll go here to yes, I want to host an intern, and you're going to register. And that'll register you for the intern fair and senior celebration luncheon on August 26th. You'll want to have your one-pager of what your opportunity is for the intern fair. We are here to help. We are here for you as your liaison. So if you're like, Betsy, I just don't know what to offer as an internship, let us know. Like if that's what's holding you back, let us know and we'll help you create a one-pager. We won't do your design, we won't do your flyer. We'll brainstorm with you so that you can do a one-pager, okay? So Tara and I are tasked with that. all of this is possible because of the Vern C. Johnson Foundation. I do want to share that with you. So when the school came to us and we partnered a couple years ago about this, I said, Kane, I don't have the staff hours, money, time, no. I don't know how we're going to make it work. I always say yes. So I said, no, but yes, I'll figure it out. That's literally what I said. And then I started writing grants to try to make it work. And the Vern C. Johnson Foundation is the reason that we were able to pay extra staff time that Tara would not be working otherwise to dedicate towards the intern program. So thank you to Vern C. Johnson Foundation. You know that. Okay. What have I not covered? What do you need to know?
Just to go back, and I think you said it, but like I have a team.
Yes.
So if my intern works with one person one week and another person the other week with their specific job functions, that's okay.
Yes, that's amazing. I think that's a really neat opportunity.
As long as there's two people in the office.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
The one thing I just wanted to mention was this is something that's really unique to Fountain Hills. This is an opportunity only our district offers. So this is a really amazing opportunity for our community. Scottsdale doesn't offer this. Mesa doesn't offer this. This is purely community driven, and it's very unique to what our little town can do. So think about that. We want to keep Fountain Hills a vital community, and us showing our teams what our community offers, because they don't know. They really don't know all that we have to offer. That is how we continue to grow and bring that youth that we so desperately want in our community, showing them reasons why Fountain Hills is such a special place. So your impact on these students is really huge for our community and our businesses going forward.
Well, and you also might not realize or know the fact that our community does not have a workforce. And I'm not being dramatic, because I can be, and I recognize that. But I'm not being dramatic. The town of Fountain Hills did a survey, I believe it was 2 years ago. And in the survey, there was a couple of questions about the residents seeking employment. And the final answer, it was 0.02% of our residents were needing employment. Not 2%. 0.02%, which is the equivalent of Fountain Hills not having a workforce. We literally don't have a workforce. So if one of our restaurants, if Bachelor's Pad needs to hire someone, you have to go to high schoolers. Like, we don't have a workforce. So this really promotes our future longevity in the business world here in Fountain Hills, because we have to create that workforce from the high school. We have to encourage those kids to want to stay in Fountain Hills to work and live. Or if they leave for college, to want to come back. And so I share that all the time. Y'all know I grew up here. I couldn't wait to get out. I don't want our kids to can't wait to get out. I don't want that. I don't want that for our kids. We want to inspire them to see there's real business here. There's real business here, and there's real opportunity here. And I have seen it firsthand because I interned with Aesthetic Elegance and Wellness, and I want to also be a business owner in this great town. Like, that's the end goal. We're trying to create a workforce and inspire these youth to want to work here. And if they don't, well, at least they did their school requirements, and it was partly because of you. Yes.